On this edition of In the Know, we're talking about your temperatures in the East Coast. Those are going to be taking a nosedive. Meanwhile, what is a ridge in British Columbia? Meteorologist Rhythm Reet here to join us. Rhythm, let's start off with Tropical Storm Jebi. How is this impacting us here in Canada?
Well, that's a great question. When we are talking about this tropical storm, it is right off of the east coast of Serbia. As it injects itself into the jet stream, what we're going to be seeing across Canada is a bit of a temperature change and condition change as we're heading into next week and even in towards regions into our middle of October. And this is going to bring more of cooler shots of air across eastern Canada with a more active pattern for areas in Ontario, Quebec, and into Atlantic Canada, really making it feel like October, like fall. But in the west coast, it is going to cause more of that ridging pattern to occur, meaning warmer conditions and above seasonal conditions as we head towards the middle of October.
Speaking of fall-like conditions, colder shots of air throughout eastern portions of our country. How cold are we talking? Like winter or just fall?
I don't want to scare anyone. It's not going to be like winter by any means, and that's not going to stick around as well. What we'll see through this upcoming week is that cooler pattern thanks to this low pressure system and the cold front associated with it. But as we're heading into Tuesday, we are looking at some snow accumulation as well for the northern regions of Ontario, even into Quebec. Now, some of that accumulation is going to be quite low, but areas even down towards areas of Chapleau can be seeing some flurries. But Victoria, I do want to highlight one thing. Across southern Ontario, I would like to say a lot of people are not the biggest fans of cold temperatures, even though, yes, we live in Canada. So Wednesday is going to be one of those days where we are dipping down quite a bit after that cold front. Toronto looking at a high of 12 degrees, Sudbury at 9, well below seasonal right across the region. But another thing to add is if you are a gardener, Tuesday, you want to bring any of your outdoor plants in because we may just be looking at some frost advisories widespread across Canada in areas like Timmins, Huntsville, only get really just reaching that freezing mark. So it's going to be a chilly week ahead. And I don't know about you, does that put you in the mood for autumn and like Halloween and all of that?
I'm starting to get into the mood. I'm ready for sweater weather. I'm starting to put away my summer clothes or put them at the back of my closet, and I'm starting to bring out those sweaters, right? Great plan. All right, let's talk about the ridge in British Columbia. What does a ridge even mean?
So a ridge is essentially just more of that southerly flow that's going to be pushed into regions across Western Canada. That also is going to implement more of those warmer conditions and above seasonal conditions. And the reason for that is the focus of the warmth is going to be down towards the southern end of the United States. When you have so much of that focus there, that's going to push a lot of that warm conditions across areas of Western Canada. But one other thing, Victoria, we've been talking so much about an atmospheric river impacting the central BC coast, and that may just continue. The reds, that's your ridging that is playing a part. Your greens, that's your atmospheric moisture. So when you take a look, a lot of that moisture is riding that ridge. And even as we're going through this weekend into next weekend, another atmospheric river is still set to impact the central coastline. So yes, we will be looking at some more drier conditions across the prairies, southern parts of British Columbia, but for the central BC coast, there is still more rain in the forecast to come.
Well, Rhythm, luckily for those who are a fan of the winter conditions, we have something super special coming up on the Weather Network, our winter sneak peek. You are not going to want to miss it. It's just a few days away, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but are we talking about snow coming up or just mild conditions? Well, you're going to want to find out Tuesday, October 8th.